Imagine a place that tells a story spanning centuries.
Where culture and nature intertwine to create something truly extraordinary.
That's the beauty of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. I'm Abigail.
And I'm Keith.
And this is Global Treasures, the podcast that covers the history, travel tips, and legends surrounding one of the 1,223 World Heritage Sites each episode.
These places have been identified as having a universal cultural or natural significance
that is so exceptional that it transcends national boundaries and is of importance to present and future generations.
Welcome to Season 2, where we're going to explore the 45 sites that UNESCO added in 1979.
In this episode, Keith and I will be introducing you to Kluane, Wrangell St. Elias, Glacier Bay, and Tatshenshini, Alsek, located in the country of Canada, and Alaska, a state in the United States. Canada has more coastline and lakes than any other country on Earth, and Alaska is the largest state in the U.S., covering 591,000 square miles.
Imagine a place where the Earth's raw power is on full display, a vast wilderness that stretches across 2 countries, encompassing some of the most spectacular landscapes you will ever see. This UNESCO site is a complex of glaciers, high peaks, and other geological wonders that spans the border between Canada and the United States, covering parts of Alaska, Yukon Territory, and British Columbia.
At the heart of this site lies the largest non-polar ice field in the world, surrounded by some of the longest and most spectacular glaciers you can find anywhere on Earth. Picture yourself standing at the foot of Mount Logan, Canada's highest peak, and North America's second highest, towering at an impressive 19,551 feet. The sheer scale of this place is mind-boggling. At roughly 38,000 square miles, it's just slightly smaller than the entire country of South Korea.
But it's not just about the size. The region is a sanctuary for iconic wildlife, including grizzly bears, caribou, and Dall's sheep. The landscape is a masterpiece sculpted by ice and time, featuring deep fjords, pristine coastlines, and even pockets of temperate rainforest. It's a place where nature reigns supreme, and the processes that have shaped our planet for millennia continue unabated.
Straddling the border between Canada and the United States, this UNESCO site is a testament to the power of international cooperation in preserving our natural heritage. It's composed of 4 interconnected protected areas: Kluane National Park and Reserve in Canada's Yukon Territory, Wrangell St. Elias National Park and Preserve in Alaska in the United States, Glacier Bay National Park and Preserve, also in Alaska, and Tatshenshini Alsek Provincial Park in British Columbia, Canada.
These parks form a continuous expanse of protected wilderness, stretching from the northern interior all the way to the coast. The landscape is incredibly diverse, encompassing everything from high mountain peaks and vast ice field to pivotal river valleys like the Tatshenshini and Alsek, which provide crucial ice-free corridors for plant and animal migration between the coast and the interior.
The story of this land is as rich and varied as its landscapes. Human activity in the region dates back over 9,000 years, with the Tlingit people being the dominant native population when Europeans first arrived in the 18th century. The area has witnessed waves of human endeavor, from the fur traders and gold prospectors of the 19th century to the copper miners of the early 20th century.
One of the most fascinating historical sites within this vast wilderness is the Kennecott Mines National Historic Landmark. From 1911 to 1938, these mines processed nearly $200 million worth of copper, making them a prime example of early 20th century copper mining operations.
The path to becoming a UNESCO World Heritage Site was a gradual one. It began in 1972 with the establishment of Kluane Game Sanctuary, followed by the proclamation of Kluane National Park Reserve in 1976. The site gained international recognition in 1979 when Kluane and Wrangell St. Elias were jointly designated as a World Heritage Site. Over the years, Glacier Bay and Tatshenshini Alsek were added, completing this remarkable protected area.
Now, let's dig deep into what makes this place truly special from a geological perspective, which is right up my alley. Prepare to be amazed, because the geology of this UNESCO site is nothing short of extraordinary. This site is a showcase of the Earth's dynamic processes, offering us a front row seat to witness the most powerful forces that shape our planet. It's one of the most tectonically active regions in North America, where the collision of tectonic plates has thrust up massive mountain ranges and created a landscape that's constantly changing. The bedrock geology here is incredibly complex, telling a story that spans hundreds of millions of years. Imagine, if you will, volcanic arcs formed in the tropics 300 million years ago near the equator, slowly drifting northward as Pangaea separated to create what we now call the St. Elias Fold Belt. This region was born from the successive accretions of Pacific plates against and subducted under the North American plate. It pushes the land straight up as this happens. It's a geological dance that's been going on for eons and is still happening today. But the story doesn't end there. This volcanic arc, formed over layers of Precambrian rocks, was later covered by extensive mid-Devonian-era marine sediments as the oceans retreated. As it moved northward, it brought with it vast lava fields, all of which contributed to the formation of the St. Elias Fold Belt in southern Alaska and also in northwestern Canada. The region continues to be shaped by incredible volcanic activity. Mount Wrangell, standing at an impressive 4,371 meters, is a prime example of this. It's a tremendously large shield volcano with fumaroles, which are vents, still steaming from its summit, a reminder that the earth beneath our feet is very much alive. In fact, during the last decade, there have been 9 volcanic episodes in the region.
But perhaps the most dramatic geological features are the glaciers. Over 200 glaciers in the Central Plateau combine to form some of the world's longest and largest ice flows. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine standing before the Nebezna Glacier on the north slope of the park. This river of ice stretches for an astounding 121 kilometers. Or picture yourself dwarfed by the Bagley ice field in Chugach Mountains, 127 kilometers long, 914 meters deep, and 9.5 kilometers wide. It's a landscape that seems almost alien in its vastness.
We can't forget the Malaspina Glacier. This is the largest Piedmont glacier on the continent, covering an area of 3,855 square kilometers. To put that into perspective, that's actually larger than the entire state of Rhode Island in the United States. The Malaspina Foreland, where this massive glacier meets the sea, is a spectacle in itself. Here, long straight Piedmont glacial beaches are cut through by numerous wide glacial melt drainage ways, creating a landscape that's both beautiful and scientifically fascinating. And these glaciers are not just static features of the landscape, they're dynamic. They're ever-changing entities that provide us with a unique opportunity to study glacial processes in action. Scientists have observed glaciers retreating at a rate of about 1.8 meters per year, offering a sobering glimpse into the effects of climate changes on our planet's coldest regions. This site also boasts an impressive 16 tidewater glaciers. These are glaciers that flow all the way to the sea, where they calve off icebergs in a spectacular display of nature's power. The Hubbard Glacier is one such example, and witnessing its massive face crumbling into the ocean, if you get to see it, is an experience you will never forget.
But it's not just about the ice. The geology of this site is a testament to the power of water in all its forms. The Copper River Valley, for instance, cuts a dramatic gap through the Chugach Mountains, providing a vital link between the coast and the interior. The Alsek River, fed by its tributary, the Tatshenshini, is one of the very few rivers to breach the coastal range from the subarctic interior, creating a unique corridor for both geological processes and biological migrations.
And let us not forget about the Earth's internal forces. This region is part of the most seismically active region in North America. Major fault lines run through the parks, and earthquakes are a regular occurrence. In 1899, a massive 8.4 magnitude quake on the coast shattered glaciers, causing extensive calving all at once. More recently, in 2002, a 7.9 magnitude earthquake in the nearby Alaska Range rocked the northern part of Wrangell St. Elias National Park.
The parks also demonstrate some of the best examples of ongoing landscape modification by glacial action. As these massive rivers of ice advance and retreat, they sculpt the land, creating U-shaped valleys, depositing moraines, which is a mass of rocks and sediment, and leaving behind glacial lakes. In Glacier Bay, we can see this process happening on a human timescale. In 1750, the bay was only 3 miles deep. Since then, the glacier has retreated over 62 miles.
From the highest peaks to the deepest fjords, from ancient Precambrian rocks to newly formed glacial deposits, the geology of this UNESCO site tells a story of our planet's history and ongoing evolution. It's a place where we can see geological processes that usually take millions of years happening right before our eyes. In this vast wilderness, every rock, every glacier, and every earthquake is a chapter in Earth's ongoing story, waiting for us to decipher and understand it.
The climatic diversity is one of the key factors that makes this site so ecologically rich and important. It creates a wide range of habitats, from coastal rainforests to alpine tundra, each supporting its own unique assemblage of plant and animal life. Speaking of life, the ecology of this UNESCO site is nothing short of extraordinary. The sheer size of the protected area, combined with its varied climates and landscapes, has resulted in an incredible diversity of ecosystems.
You can find plant communities ranging from coastal and interior boreal forests through extensive alpine meadows and tundra, all the way up to harsh Arctic conditions on the highest peak. This diversity supports an equal, varied array of wildlife. The site is home to some of North America's most iconic species. It boasts the world's largest protected population of grizzly bears and a quarter of the global population of Dall sheep. You might spot wolverines, moose, or even the rare glacier bear, a bluish color phase of the black bear found nowhere else in Canada and rarely in Alaska.
The rivers and coastal waters teem with life as well. All 5 species of Pacific salmon can be found here, supporting not just the terrestrial ecosystems, but also marine mammals like the humpback whale that frequent the coastal areas. For birdwatchers, this place is paradise. Over 280 species of birds have been recorded across this site, including numerous species of seabirds that migrate along the coast or breed in the area.
What makes this site truly special from an ecological perspective is its sheer scale and relatively undisturbed nature. Here, natural processes play out largely unaffected by human interference. Predator-prey relationships, migration patterns, and life cycles continue much of they have for thousands of years, offering scientists a rare opportunity to study these processes in a nearly pristine environment. So as we wrap up our exploration of this incredible UNESCO World Heritage Site, it's worth reflecting on what makes it so special. The Kluane, Wrangell St. Elias, Glacier Bay Tatshenshini Alsek site is more than just a collection of stunning landscapes. It's a living laboratory where we can witness the grand processes that shape our planet, from the slow grind of glaciers to the sudden upheaval of earthquakes, from the delicate balance of complex ecosystems to the powerful forces of climate. As we now transition to our kind of visiting the site section of the podcast, I can't help but feel a sense of anticipation. While we've explored the science and the statistics of this incredible place, I'm sure nothing can quite prepare you for the experience of standing amidst these towering peaks and ancient glaciers. So let's hand it over to Abigail, who will guide us through what it's like to actually set foot in this awe-inspiring wilderness. What adventures await us in Kluane, Wrangell St. Elias, Glacier Bay, and Tatshenshini Alsek? Let's find out.
So this site is interesting as it's spread out amongst countries and different parks. For Wrangell St. Elias and Glacier Bay National Park, The closest airport to fly into is Anchorage Airport in Alaska. The closest airport to Kluane and Tatshenshini, Alsek is Eric Nielsen Whitehorse International Airport. Now, this is a small airport, so you'll likely have to get a flight here from a larger hub such as Vancouver or Calgary. No matter what you choose to do or which area you visit, you're going to want to rent a car because there is no public transportation and lodging and restaurants are spread out. I wouldn't guarantee you'll easily get rideshare options, and taxis seemed far and few in between.
All right, so we've gotten there. So what's the best things to consider doing or seeing in each park besides probably the glaciers?
Before I jump into that, let me just explain a few things. So across the board, it looks like visitor centers are open in the summer but closed during the winter. It also appears that as of this recording, the parks either don't charge entrance fees or they're minimal. So make sure you toggle between the United States Park Service and Canada's park sites to determine this before visiting. Some of the parks do require you obtain a federal land pass or permits if you're going to go fishing, hunting, or off-roading. Permits and registration may be required for day or overnight visitation. So again, check each park's website as they may have different rules and regulations as well. Wrangell gets about 78,000 visitors annually, but I couldn't find statistics for the number of visitors otherwise. That being said, I don't think these are parks like Yellowstone National Park where you'll be fighting off large hordes of fellow visitors. So I would suggest you consider a visit to Kennecott Mines, which is on the National Register of Historic Places. As Keith mentioned, it's a copper mine. Just a safety tip when visiting here too, there's limited cell phone coverage as with many national parks, so make sure you have printouts of maps or any information that's vital. But at Kennecott Mines, you can see exhibits at the general store and post office, Blackburn School, the rail depot, and more, which gives some context and allows visitors to experience how locals lived and how the mill town has changed substantially over the years. Generally speaking, for all of the parks, it appears you can do guided tours led by park rangers or ranger-led nature walks, where they'll tell you about the history and wildlife you can expect to see. You can also go hiking, and you can go on the Parks Canada or U.S. National Park sites to find maps of hiking trails to prevent you from getting lost. Hiking really is what the majority of people come to these parks to do, just take in that superb beauty. You can go mountaineering and wildlife viewing solo as well. You may be treated to the sight of grizzly bears munching on fish in a stream. Just be careful and don't try to take a selfie with one of the bears. In terms of food, it looks like Wrangell has restaurants in Kennecott and McCarthy, which are nearby towns, but the other sites seem more sparse, so you may want to bring snacks. Bottom line, I highly suggest scheduling tours that arrange transportation. For example, lots of the river rafting tours I came across do just that, as well as providing a boat, paddles, your lunch, and so much more.
Okay, that's great insider information. So I know it might seem obvious since we covered the climate, but what is the weather like during the visiting season? And do you have any suggestions on what to wear other than, like, extreme hiking gear?
Great question. Yeah, I definitely was going to mention that because most of the activities are outdoors, and it's freezing in this part of Canada and Alaska, especially during the winter. In Canada, we're talking in the negatives with quite a bit of wind, like -2 Fahrenheit, which is frostbite weather. The high temps are in the 60s Fahrenheit in the summer. It rains the most between June and August. Temperatures change frequently, and it may be wet, like I said, so make sure you wear layers and wear shoes or boots that are rubber or quick dry. Also, if you're visiting multiple sites, be sure you bring your passport if going between Canada and the United States.
Oh, good thoughts. Okay, since this is more a remote site, where should people stay? I'm actually guessing this is a camping paradise, but maybe there's other places as well.
Camping is very popular at Kluane National Park. They have an official campsite with amenities. St. Wrangell Elias has a wilderness lodge that is renowned and considered to be quite nice. You can also rent private cabins or stay at small inns and hotels in the area. You really aren't going to find your standard chain hotels around these parts. If you're going to Tatshenshini, you'll probably want to stay in Haines, Alaska. Tatshenshini Park does offer free wilderness camping, but just know that it has no amenities and no formal campground.
So, Abigail, you do a great job of finding out all the legends, paranormal activity, and ghost stories for each of these sites that we cover. And considering the sheer size and the history of this site, they must be amazing stories. What'd you find out about this site?
The main paranormal activity related to this site is centered around the old railroad that provided transport for the Kennecott copper mines. It's said to have ghosts that have scared away locals and public officials who are trying to update the area. So the train is abandoned, sitting on 200 miles of track. Historically, ore mined from inside Wrangell Mountains and brought to Kennecott was then sent to Tacoma, Washington. Let me be clear that the railroad was not on a straight line either. It wove around rock walls that were perilous, and many were reported to have died while building the railroad because it was dangerous work. The crew had to dig and blast their way through tons of rock to bring it to life. Over the years, visitors to the Kennecott Historical Landmark have claimed they've seen tombstones just off the dirt path that parallels the old copper railroad. But when they return later that same day, they state that the grave markers have vanished altogether. Also, in the 1990s, the state of Alaska began developing governmental housing along the old copper railroad. During construction, workers were visited by phantoms and disembodied voices, cries from what they believed to be the miners who perished. Some reported that their tools disappeared right out of their toolboxes as well. Apparently, it frightened off so many workers that the whole project was canceled.
Whoa, not a place I think I'd like to live, but maybe it would be worth it for all the sheer beauty. All right, so we usually close these episodes by speaking about conservation and protection efforts. Considering the absolute remoteness of these sites and the resources of the two governments that manage the sites, I'm guessing that these 4 parks are taken well care of, minus the changing long-term climate effects.
Sure. So, the Canada National Parks Act of 2000 governs management of both cultural and natural resources of Kluane and Tatshenshini. They have agreements with First Nations to provide additional direction for that management plan. I always appreciate from a diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective that they're asking for input from the individuals who have lived on and around these lands for hundreds of years. Key actions include identifying critical wildlife habitats and maintaining healthy ecosystems for them. One example includes making sure visitors don't overfish and throw off that delicate balance. Climate change is also a factor, as melting glaciers are negatively affecting said wildlife. 1 million acres are privately owned within boundaries as well, so activities that could endanger the integrity of the park include mining and oil and gas development. In regards to issues being faced by Glacier Bay and Wrangell St. Elias, military flights over the parks have been problematic over the years as they cause noise pollution. This might not seem like a big deal, but imagine you're hiking to the top of a summit. Your eyes are feasting on the sheer beauty in front of you. All of a sudden, loud engines are blurring above you, making you feel like you're starring in the sequel to Top Gun. It takes away from the authenticity of the place, so officials are trying to work with the Department of Defense here in the States and expand training flights adjacent to the park instead. Much like the parks in Canada, Alaskan Native groups have lived in Wrangell for years. So another thing officials are working on is the fact that many of the buildings in Kennecott have been abandoned for decades. We had established that before. But some are in need of work immediately to keep them from collapsing, as some of the buildings have passed to the point of no return and have been lost. The National Park Service, along with the local community and friends of Kennecott, are trying to stabilize most of the endangered buildings as quickly as possible, and protect the historic integrity of the mill town. A few buildings have been updated for modern use, including the store and post office. The Blackburn School is now the park's visitor center. It's just amazing that when we all band together, we can keep these places alive for future generations to enjoy. Thank you for listening to the Global Treasures podcast. If you would like to support the show, you can subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, please subscribe at YouTube and check us out on TikTok and Facebook.
And that wraps up our journey through the vast wilderness of Kluane, Wrangell St. Elias, Glacier Bay, and Tatshenshini Alsek. From towering mountains and massive glaciers to diverse ecosystems and fascinating geological processes, this UNESCO World Heritage Site truly embodies the raw power and beauty of nature on an epic scale. We hope that this episode has inspired you to appreciate the importance of preserving such large, interconnected wildlands. These pristine areas not only protect the unique landscapes and wildlife, but also provide invaluable opportunities for scientific research and our understanding of Earth's natural processes. Before we go, let's take a moment to reflect on the incredible diversity of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We've journeyed so far from the beautiful islands of the Galapagos to the ancient cities in Egypt. Each site tells a unique story of our planet's natural or cultural heritage. Speaking of unique stories, our next episode will transport us to a completely different type of UNESCO site. We're heading into Bulgaria to explore the Madara Rider, a mysterious medieval rock relief carved high up on a cliff face. This monumental equestrian relief depicts a majestic rider triumphing over a lion, accompanied by intriguing inscriptions. It's a site that combines art, history, and mystery in a way that's sure to captivate your imagination. So join us next time as we unravel the secrets of the Madara Rider and delve into the rich cultural heritage of Bulgaria. Until then, keep exploring, keep wondering, and keep treasuring the remarkable diversity of our world's heritage. See you on our next adventure.